So, on-orbit servicing and manufacturing has been rapidly expanding right now and will be playing a crucial role in our industry going forward. We're just at the precipice of it right now. We've had a few of those missions, but we see this as a blossoming and essential technology for enabling more sustainability in space and more interoperability and many more things. So we're going to be discussing that today on this panel. And I'm excited to have these esteemed panelists to discuss that with me. And we're going to start with the brief, 1-minute introduction about who we are and what we do, and then we'll go into a series of questions and polls. So I'm Negar.
So first of all, thank you very much to APSCC for the invitation. It's super kind to be on stage today, and thank you, Negar, for the moderation of the panel. So I'm Sébastien Duménil. I'm the CCO at Exotrail. So in few words, Exotrail, we are a French small and medium company based in France. We are a bit more than 160 people right now, and basically our mission is to support our customer, whatever they are, satellite operator, satellite manufacturer, space agency, or military organization, to move their assets in space. And we do that through a collection of different products and services. Basically software in order to do mission analysis and operation up to SD capabilities. Electric propulsion system as well. We developed and deliver a complete portfolio of electric propulsion system for satellite ranging from 100 kilograms to 1 tons. And ultimately, our goal being to be a space logistics service provider. We are developing a multi-mission vehicle called the Space Van, which intentionally address different use cases of in-orbit servicing, transfer orbit, inspection, end-of-life management, and much more. And that's all for me.
Good morning. Marie-Andrieux, I am the Chief Commercial Officer of Infinite Orbits. Thank you, Negar, for this invitation. I am very happy to discuss this topic today. Infinite Orbits, we are a French in-orbit services company, but we address a different market than Exotrail. We are focused on the geostationary in-orbit services. We develop two kinds of servicers to perform two kinds of services. The first ones are microsatellite in geo, which have different capabilities. One of them, for example, is the inspection capability. But our main mission is the development of a life extension mission with another servicer dedicated to life extension called Endurance. So that's the main market we are focusing on, and they have both a point of comment. They are equipped with our own rendezvous technology.
Negar, thank you so much for inviting me up on the panel. My name is Tom Carroll, or just TC, as most of you know me by. I work for Space Logistics, which is a wholly owned company of Northrop Grumman Corporation. We've been doing on-orbit satellite life extension now for a total of 8 years, 4.5 years for IS-901, 3.5 years for IS-1002. Next year, we'll be having a big event. We'll be completing the contract for IS-901, and we will return it to the graveyard orbit, and then go on to dock with another customer after that. So we've been doing satellite life extension now with 8 years of on-orbit experience. So, and I'm ready to be questioned, whatever you come up with some questions for us.
Okay, well, just that's an interesting point. Thanks, Tom. I was wondering, when you undock from those two Intelsat satellites, who are you going to go redock your MEV to, and how long of a mission life do each one of those vehicles have?
We made an announcement of we have 2 extension contracts with Intelsat to do other spacecraft. We will continue on IS-1002 for a period of time. The satellite is operating perfectly. Payload is great. Customer loves their satellite. So does Norway Space, I have to say, because that's a joint venture between Intelsat and Norway Space, or Telenor, for those of you who've been around for a long time. So we'll continue extending the life of that. And there's another satellite that Intelsat wants us to extend the life of, that they have not announced the name of the satellite yet. So they'll announce it hopefully we'll dock to it after they make the announcement, but we're making all the preparations for it, and we're ready to go for it, and we'll have the same video feeds we had for the other dockings for it when we do these dockings, and the undocking also.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for that. I have a series of questions. I'm going to go through those, and in the midst, you're welcome to answer the poll questions. So my first question for the panelists is for OSAM, ISAM, on-orbit assembly and manufacturing and satellite servicing. It's ready for industry adoption. So why haven't we seen a wide adoption of these applications in the space sector, and what risks are preventing the customers from adopting these services, in your opinion, aside from the Intelsat satellites that you just mentioned, Tom?
I think the industry's not ready for it yet. So the capability's coming. You need to have the ability to perform. So when we launch our mission robotic vehicle, which will have basically an astronaut moving around the orbit that can do this work, it will enable those that are innovators to come up with how to do it. But until you actually have a way to perform it, it's hard to do ISAM. In fact, NASA canceled their one, and we are in discussions with them to see what we can do to help them with the program, as I think industry's been polled about ISAM. So I think when it's ready, I think we'll be one of the enablers of that with our mission robotic vehicle.
Okay, thank you. Did you guys want to add to that?
Probably that it depends on what service we are talking about. Definitely for the in-orbit assembly, in-orbit manufacturing, we are far from being ready today. For some services, we can see that the industry is a bit more ready. Well, if I take the life extension one, of course, you proved that it was possible. So the industry is definitely, at least on your side, ready. But I think that it was a bit slowed down by two elements. The first one is that, yes, at least one player is ready for life extension, for example. But at the end of the day, only one player is ready today. So it's still not an anecdotic mission. It's still very risky, and I mean, technically risky. Also, other elements are to be taken into account, like the reputation. We go and dock to their satellite, so it's definitely not nothing. And the second element is that it's definitely financial. To have an operator ordering a life extension mission, he needs to see the ROI on this mission. And today, if the industry is ready technically, we still have all of us to make an effort to find a competitive offer for them to see that it's possible on every aspect.
Thank you, Marianne. Do you want to add to that, Sebastian?
Yeah, sure. So maybe I may complement a bit the answer as well, depending on the use case. So we are talking about a life extension use case. We could talk about last mile delivery using orbital transfer vehicle. As a matter of fact, there is not that much orbital transfer vehicle having recurring mission in LEO and GEO. So this is something yet to come. On our point of view, we are building the capability step by step. We have already one mission in LEO that we launched last year in 2023 with customer on board. One was for a drop of satellite, so it's perfectly fitting the last mile delivery use case. And the other one was for hosted payload, which is another use case on board the OTV and very active actually. Even we are a bit surprised by the good appetite on the whole market for in-orbit validation, in-orbit demonstration, both in LEO and GEO. And then for GEO, again, the OTV is yet to come with some either big capability or more bespoke tailor capability. On our side, we have a mission scheduled for end of 2026 with the support of the French Space Agency. So yes, it's a maturation process, technologically speaking. It's a market maturation as well. This last mile delivery business rely a lot on constellation deployment. In our business plan or expectation, marketing expectation, this market should be in the maturation phase more by 2025, 2026, in order to be able to provide flexibility in constellation deployment. So we're still waiting a bit. And then for the use cases, which is in-orbit servicing for inspection and rely on rendezvous and proximity technology, again, we need more capability from different service provider, and it's under building.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your insights on that. I would agree. So now, looking at that, which customers do you see as the ones that will be the early adopters going forward for these new services that you're bringing onto the market, including not just life extension, but refueling and other satellite servicing capabilities like last mile logistics, et cetera?
Well, for the services that are already ready, for life extension, definitely Intelsat is the one that is on the stage. For other capabilities today, for the one that you talked about, like in-orbit assembly, manufacturing, refueling, it's still unknown. Probably that for the refueling, the answer is a bit easier. I'm not a specialist. We are not doing refueling in infinite orbits, but we can see that some missions have been pushed by the US DoD, even if it has been a bit slowed down, but still, so for the refueling, probably that the main step will be done on the US DoD side. On the GEO operator side or other GEO operators today, it's a bit more complicated to see.
Thank you. Does anybody want to add anything else?
I would agree. So the U.S. government's looking at launching satellites with only 5 years of fuel on board, and then expecting to be refueled within those 5 years. What commercial operator would put a satellite up today with only 5 years worth of fuel? No one, right? So refueling is 15, 20 years from now. If somebody wanted fueling and put a fueling port on now, a passive fueling port, that marketplace won't develop for 15 to 20 years from now. So first we have to get everybody to put passive fueling ports on, and we need a standardization of that, which has been discussed for as long as APSCC has been in existence, about a standardized fueling port. And if this room here could vote on it, you would have a standardized voting port for APSCC members. You could then get refueled 15, 20 years from now. But our mission robotic vehicle will have a fueling port, and we will be the last mile fuel delivery methodology that can come fuel your spacecraft if you have a passive fueling port on your spacecraft in the future. And let me know if anyone's going to put a satellite up with like only 20% of the fuel in the tanks, because I'll come refuel you, but I don't know if you'll ever get that approved.
Sorry, you were going to say something?
Yeah, maybe to complement, because we are, even though we do not have this capability on board the space van, and it's not on the short term, we have discussion, obviously, with the Space Forces out of the US, more in Europe, and these guys are definitely thinking about that, specifically because the threat is growing on the GOR, specifically because they are shifting for V project style with 10 years of specification and 10 years in orbit and €500 million or US dollar capex, to something more flexible, more recurring, small spacecraft, tailored capability. And even though being under budgetary pressure, they want to be able to refuel in order to extend the capability on the GEO. So it will take time, definitely, but the way military forces are moving as well may accelerate a bit the process. Let's see.
You know, speaking of the government and the DoD as the early adopters, what role do you feel that the government needs to play in order to ensure we have sustained space operations, and what concerns do you have with that? And what do I mean by sustained space operations? Sustained space operations are the ability to keep a space capability operating over time to maintain an advantage in the space domain. This includes the ability to refuel, repair, maneuver, and remove debris.
That's a danger zone you just asked me to talk about. So that's a dangerous topic to discuss because there's lots of opinions of that and direction by Northrop Grumman as a big defense contractor, of course. I believe the product should be sustainable by the commercial marketplace. So if everybody had upgradable satellites in the future, solar arrays that can be changed, batteries that can be changed, CPUs and hard drives that can be upgraded, my mission robotic vehicle can come and install them. We can deliver those new parts and install them on your spacecraft, if your spacecraft are designed for that. Just that simple. It's an enabling technology that's coming in just 2 years.
Did you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, so maybe the institutional role is something very practical, is to support small company initiative like us in order to mature the technology and to buy services for demo mission in order to build the capability. We are a bit lucky in France because we have what we call France 2030 initiatives, which is funded by the government through CNES and supporting some technological and service demonstration. So we are both part of the company selected by CNES for that, for inspection, for life extension, for transfer orbit, for desorbitation, which is another topic. And obviously, at the end of the day, you're right, the service should be commercial and rely on the commercial market, but the support of the institutions through fundings is critical, because otherwise it's very capex intensive. So
yes, the institutional part can support the in-orbit services development in different levels for sure. At the end, yes, it should be supported by the commercial aspect. There is another thing that government can do, I mean state and public entities in general, that supporting is good, not refraining is also good. We can see some initiatives that go, it's a bit schizophrenic. They push for having more development on this aspect, and if I am pragmatic and I see the situation today, sometimes they also refrain it at the same time and sometimes in the same country. So it can be complicated, like a concrete explanation. On the regulation side, so we have some regulation being adopted today or ongoing that will frame a bit the in-orbit services, which is good on some aspects, but then it means that they need to be careful of not refraining any use of technologies or refraining the innovation in this industry. And the other aspect, like export control, the in-orbit services is very touchy on some technologies, and especially today. So these are some decisions that can be taken on the state side that can refrain or limit the innovation on our market and give like 10 years in a view for the development of these capacities. So probably that's supporting and not limiting.
Those are great points, and I think the government should support in terms of grant funding to enable these technologies to flourish and buy it with commercial terms so they don't, refrain you from developing the same way you would otherwise. And just following up on that, actually, do you believe that organizations such as CONFERS, COSMIC, and other industry consortiums have been effective in achieving their goals in enabling satellite servicing, in addition to what the government's doing? And if not, what else do the panelists think need to be done in order to enable more standardization, on not just the refueling ports, but, other problems that we're encountering that are preventing the industry from adopting all these great services that are being developed?
Well, definitely this consortium association of companies played a major role on the fact that we are talking about in-orbit services more today. Definitely, we are more seen, we are more visible at every level. Of course, the work is not done yet, so several aspects are still very uncertain. The problem with in-orbit services is when we talk about that, in fact, we are talking about 1,000 things on the same time. In-orbit manufacturing, in-orbit assembly, last-mile delivery, we are all we all pronounce different words actually in this panel, showing that this is very large and broad. So a lot of aspects are uncertain, some market more uncertain than others. Some points like these associations can help solving some problems too. There are some uncertainty, like if I take only one, the insurance part. We were discussing that today actually, but today the insurance part of this mission are still unknown, known for some and completely unknown for some insurers. So having an insurance package ready for this kind of missions can help us to penetrate the market and help our customer to see this service are a bit like easier to adopt. So on this aspect, on the regulation side also, this consortium, this association of companies can have a major role to play.
Yeah, definitely in terms of risk management, having the insurance will be really essential. So, looking far out, what do you see OSAM and ISAM and on-orbit assembly enabling in 10 to 15 years from now, like with your MRV vehicle, with your servicing vehicles in LEO and GEO? What do you see this, bringing into our ecosystem, and what is it going to enable?
I believe it's coming. If we're going to become a space-based manufacturing facilities and things in space, you're going to need enabling technologies to build that. We're not going to have humans floating around building space stations in space. You can send up components, or you can print new components, parts. You still need something to assemble it. And so that's why we're all in on the mission robotic vehicle. It costs a lot more than a communications satellite. I can say it's a major investment by Northrop Grumman. And we see it as part of the future for both Northrop Grumman initiatives, that what we want to see in the next 20 years, but we also hopefully industry will have also. So,
thank you. Can we get the poll questions up, please? Sorry, did you guys want to say anything before we go to the next question?
10 to 15 years, it's no clue. If you say 5 years, yes, maybe I could rely a bit on the marketing people at the company saying, in 5 years we're going to do that and this, and the market will be there. 10 to 15 years, but I mean, globally the trend is there. Yeah. More assets in orbit, in all orbits, cislunar as well, and lunar economy. So it sounds maybe optimistic, but people are working definitely on that and raising money and raising funds for that. More threat. This is a fact in all orbit as well. So the duality of our solution is a bit crucial. So yes, the point is to, and this is our view, to build step by step the capability and the vehicle able to address different use cases, because only one use case is not enough in our point of view to build a complete business case. So we have to have many different capabilities on board and tackle the market when it's there. And then the question is time to market, so let's see.
But what is almost certain is that you have more and more players on this field, and you have more and more use cases every day. So in 10 to 15 years, the discussion will be completely different for sure. I mean, I hope, or it's very sad. But for sure, you will have different players coming, different missions. A lot of in-orbit demonstrations are planned in the coming years in different use cases. So at least we will have some results. So that's exciting. I think that just like you, we are in a moment that some use cases are becoming very, very concrete. So we will see things. And well, on Infinite Orbit side, we have our mission coming in 2027 for life extension. So I hope that in 10 to 15 years, I can say, just like you, in 10 to 15 years, I hope we can say we have 8 years experience in life extension.
Just one more comment. There is something missing in the room, is access to space. We rely on launch vehicle in order to do our job in whatever is the orbit. And today we have a problem with access to space. There is not enough launch vehicle, launch service provider to LEO, GEO, and capacity.
What do you need launched? I can help you with that.
Yeah, I know. But we need recurring available and
Yes.
cost-effective solution in order to build our own capability.
Thank you. And thank you all for answering the poll questions. Let's jump to the fourth one here. So, we've talked about LEO and GEO. Where do you see it being adopted first in terms of satellite servicing, different services that you guys are adopting, and in which orbits, and why? It seems like the audience thinks it's 100% GEO. Maybe that's one person only
It's where the
answer.
expensive spacecraft are. Okay? Where the money is invested is where the marketplace is. A LEO satellite, they're driving the cost of an individual LEO satellite below $1 million.
Yeah.
So life extension of a LEO satellite, it's challenging to get to that marketplace. MEO, there's some expensive M-powered satellites up there in MEO, so it might become a marketplace. LEO is probably going to be more of a U.S. government or I'll say governments around the world, sovereign nations having their sovereign networks at LEO. That may become a marketplace because that's the players that can pay for that. But Starlink's not interested. AK is not interested. I still call him AK, so that was the code name when we were talking years ago. All those mega constellations are more of just keep launching and launching and launching, and they will be using the launchers for the next 20 years. So get vertical integration. Northrop Grumman, we build everything. We can launch it, we can build it, we can service it, all inside Northrop Grumman.
Well, thank you, everybody. I'm sorry we've run out of time, and we only have 1 minute left. If anybody has, I wanted to open it up to audience. If anybody has a question, we have time for one question before we get off. Oh, wow. Okay, there's already 4. Do you guys? Okay, go ahead, Peter.
You guys already know this, but we heard yesterday, again, that insurance rates that went up dramatically in 2023 for reasons you can understand, given the losses they incurred there, the claims, and they're not coming down anytime soon. So they've gone up, maybe doubling. So that's got to play into the thinking of some of your prospective customers. If they've got to pay a whole lot more for insurance, and you're talking about their satellite meeting one of your satellites to do something in orbit, it's already a risky thing, even though Northrop Grumman has proved they can do it. So for all 3 of you, including Tom, you probably have already insured your near-term missions, and you might have gotten in under the earlier rates, but the increase in the doubling of insurance premiums, that has to put downward pressure on the demand for the service, no?
It's just changed the service rate. I'll just simply say that. It's just adjusted the service rate. And I think this is a short term, as we've had over 30 years. I worked at GT SpaceNet a long time ago. We used to self-insure at 23% launch rate. So at a certain point, you cross over from affordable insurance to self-insurance. And that's only when a big company corporation can afford such a thing. Where that crossover is, I can't say that for Northrop Grumman, but that's what the crossover will be. Then the insurance industry will adjust their rates to get back in when too many companies self-insure.
That's a really good point. SpaceX did that initially, too. They self-insured.
Yeah, in 2027, so not next year. But the insurance is, you have different options. You have one option, definitely, that the insurance is more expensive, my service is more expensive, but the market is not ready for that, in my opinion. So it's not an option. And you have different ones, so we are talking with different insurance. And originally, I'm a lawyer, so I'm more comfortable on that aspect. And one option is also to have a different view of the service, more new space. The premiums depend on the different stages of the operation. The more risky one is definitely the rendezvous and the docking. So you can also have some decisions, and it's all negotiation with your customers, and it's a decision on a case-by-case basis on the mission to ensure less these phases for these first missions until the insurance market is ready for these missions. And that's a new space approach, I would say. It's very risky. It's contradictory with some conservative approach that have historically the GEO operators. So it's definitely an issue, a challenge. But we have options. So we work with the insurance to solve it.
No, I don't have anything to say because I'm not coming from the insurance business. I'm not a lawyer, and we do not do life extension for the time being. So,
All right. I'm sorry that we didn't get to the questions in Slido, but we're out of time, and our panelists will be here. So when we get off stage, please feel free to walk up to them and ask your questions. Thank you very much.